Hello, everybody. Right now, I'm uploading the noon games. There was an error that ended up happening, and it caused me to end up having to go back and redo my little bit of editing that I did. Um, it's unfortunate. Got me a little bit frustrated, but while I'm up dealing with that, I decided might as well knock out these afternoon games and the Sunday night football game. We got 4 afternoon games and just the Giants and the Buffalo Bills. Giants and Bills. But to start off with this video, thank you guys for all the support. And if you like the video, hit that like button, please. And go ahead and look through the videos that are on my page. And if you like the content, hit that subscribe button. I also stream video games. A little bit of a variety. Mainly I do sports video games, but I do get a little bit out of my comfort zone. I missed a couple of days, but I was focusing in on information gathering and just getting what I needed so I can get a full slab done, get this week done so we have the information, the videos are up there. So again, thank you guys for all the support. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Moving in, first game that we're going to get into with our predictions, we got a battle in the NFC West. We have the Arizona Cardinals that are ranked 27th on the power ranking board, going against the LA or 27th is the Cardinals. 22nd is where the Rams are on the power rankings leaderboard. Cardinals, they're last in the NFC West. Rams, they got third place over here on the offensive side for the we'll start with the Cardinals numbers and then go over to the Rams. First off, I gotta say is that I'm so glad to see that Josh Dobbs is actually out there and playing his ass off and giving it all that he's got. Spent some time with the Cleveland Browns, so a little bit of sentimental value there. Much would have rather had him still on the roster instead of having to go with PJ Walker, but we'll see how today goes. And before we dive in, we got 5 minutes left in the first half of that game over in London. Ravens are up 9-3. So far, so good. And yeah, so let's actually get into the games here. Cardinals, they got 328 total yards per game this year. So far, that's ranked 15th in the league. They got 185.8 passing yards per game. That's actually pretty low. That's number 29th in the league. And then 143.2 rushing yards per game. That's 6th in the league. So, got the Cardinals that are actually running the ball very well. It's going to be an interesting day today now that they went through that game last week. They didn't have Budda Baker because he was on IR. Lost Jalen Thompson midway through the game. And the Bengals just attacked Marco Wilson. He was not prepared at all for what was coming to him. But Cardinals, they got 6 receiving touchdowns and 5 rushing touchdowns for 66 points scored. Not too bad, but when you look at their defense, it definitely answers the question why they have a losing record. Their defense, they've allowed 375.6 total yards per game. That's 26th in the league. Allowed 251.4 passing yards per game. That's 26th in the league. 124.2 rushing yards per game allowed. That's 22nd in the league. And they've given up 8 receiving touchdowns and 7 rushing touchdowns. That's 90 points. That's 90 points allowed. That is a significant number. They do have one of their fumble recoveries that they returned for a touchdown, though. So they do have some defensive points. The differential is +1 for the Cardinals. They got 2 interceptions and 3 fumbles that they've given up on offense. And then on defense, they've gotten 4 interceptions and forced 2 fumbles. So, not that bad of a turnover differential. Definitely leaning. Good to see that they're leaning towards the positive and everything. Because the guys over on the other side, their stats a little bit different. The Los Angeles Rams this year, got to give it to that guy Puka Nacua. He definitely stepped up in a spot where they needed him, and he kept on going, and he's been consistent in my eyes. Cooper Kupp came back last week, so we'll go ahead and see as season goes on how much his usage is there. But I feel like he's still going to be in the mix for Matt Stafford to distribute the ball around with that offense. But here's the numbers for him. That offense, we've got 364 total yards per game. That's 8th in the league. 270 passing yards per game, 5th in the league. Then 94 rushing yards per game. That's 22nd in the league. So, on this side, we got good passing, bad rushing. Cardinals, they're bad passing, good rushing. LA Rams, they've got the same amount, but same amount of touchdowns, but flip it around. They got 5 receiving touchdowns and 6 rushing touchdowns. It's wild. How they got more rushing touchdowns in a category that they have less rushing in. But that kind of makes sense. You get down the field and you get into those short yardage situations in the red zone, and you just punch it in with your running back. They have not fumbled. The Rams have not fumbled the ball at all this year, but Matt Stafford has thrown 5 interceptions. That's unfortunate. Their defense has got 2 interceptions and 1 fumble. That's not good. They've got a -2 turnover differential. Thank God that their kicker has made every single extra point. But unfortunately, there's been 4 missed field goals for the LA Rams. You can't be having that. If you're out there and the coach is trusting you to put it through the upright, you got to get that done. Unfortunate to see it, but it's a sport. They're out there getting paid to do it. So I know it's not easy, but hopefully things can get corrected in that right. Moving on to the defense for the Rams. Their defense is a little bit better than the Cardinals. They've allowed 327.4 total yards per game this year. That's 15th, middle of the road. 206.8 passing yards per game allowed. 15th in the league. And they've allowed 120.6 rushing yards per game. That's 20th in the league. So, got a couple of we got a subpar defense on the Rams side, and we have a defense on the Cardinals side that just isn't really looking good at all. But there's that turnover differential. There's the turnover differential that you have to put into effect there. They've only missed one field goal, so if they get down there, it's more than likely that they'll be able to get 3 points if they decide to actually kick the ball. But ESPN's got the Rams winning this by 73%. I'll agree with that one. The over-under is at 47.5, and the Rams are favored by 7 points. Yeah, sounds about right, and I can agree with that. I'll follow that along. And moving forward, now we are going to go into the stat leaders for the teams on the year. Passing, the Cardinals got Josh Dobbs. Rushing, James Conner. Receiving, Hollywood Brown. And then the Rams, passing, they got Stafford. Rushing, they got Kyren Williams. And receiving, that man, Puka Nacua. He's been doing good this year. And for the quarterbacks, their numbers, Josh Dobbs has 102 completions with 155 attempts, 960 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Matt Stafford, like I said, he's got 5 interceptions, but he's got 124 completions on 203 attempts, 1,451 yards, and 5 touchdowns to go with those 5 interceptions. Moving on to the running backs, we got James Conner that has 68 carries, 364 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Kyren Williams has 77 carries, 298 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Those are pretty decent stats for the running backs. And receivers, Hollywood's got 25 catches, 300 yards, and 3 touchdowns on the year. Puka, he's got 46 catches, 572 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the year. Yeah, and that's stat leaders for this matchup, the Cardinals and the Rams. Next, let's go ahead and get the schedule and injuries out of the way, and we will go ahead and make a prediction on the score. On the Cardinals side, they've only won 1 game, and that was that lucky-ass game against the Cowboys. It was the first game that defense didn't have why am I spacing out on his name right now? Trayvon Diggs. Yeah, first time that Cowboys defense didn't have Trayvon Diggs. But the other teams, the Cardinals have played Commanders, Giants, 49ers, Bengals. So the fact that they lost the first 2 weeks of the year, Commanders and Giants, that just doesn't, that's not very good. And because those teams aren't panning out very well this year. Giants are in absolute shambles. Commanders just lost to the Bears. But let's see what happens tonight. They've got bragging rights for the NFC West. Ooh, I got someone snapping me. Okay. All right, over to the Rams side. The Rams have had the Seahawks, 49ers, Bengals, Colts, and Eagles. They only won the game against the Seahawks week 1, and then week 4 they beat the Colts. So, I mean, their losses have been against some good teams. The Bengals, they had a little bit of a rematch. Different looking teams, but most of the same people from the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Bengals ended up taking that one, surprisingly. Tight one, though. The Bengals only won by 3 points. Now, for the injuries, over on the Cardinals side, we got Jalen Thompson that is ruled out. Elijah Higgins, Josh Woods, Dennis Daly, and Hollywood Brown, they're all questionable. So just watch out for keep a look on those guys to see if they play or not, if you have them in your fantasy. Over on the Rams side, we got Ernest Jones, Joe Noteboom, and Laurel Murchison. Those 3 guys are all questionable. They might play tonight, but we will see. And now, moving on to the score. They've scored the same amount, but with 60 points being allowed on the Rams defense side, I'd say this would probably be like 24-7 Rams. We'll go ahead and go with, or not 24-17, not just 7. 24-17. And that's going to be going with the under. Taking the under, going with the Rams. 24-17. Lock that in, and that is that game. Next one, we got first in the NFC North, Detroit Lions that are ranked 5th on the power rankings against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are first in the NFC South and ranked 11th on the power rankings. And that was, last week they dropped 42 on the Panthers without Amon-Ra St. Brown. And it's looking, Amon-Ra, I double check that now that I think about it. Amon-Ra St. Brown is set to go. It's going to start. Emmanuel Mosley suffered a torn ACL. Unfortunate. But moving on, let's get into the numbers here as we normally do. The Lions, they got 384.3 total yards per game. That's 6th in the league. 243.4 passing yards per game. That's 9th in the league. 141 rushing yards per game. 9th in the league. 9 receiving and 9 rushing touchdowns. They've got 108 points scored. Lions are doing good this season, and they're one of my picks to be strong throughout the playoffs. My hands down favorite for the AFC North. But yeah, it should end up being all right. Where did I... Okay, hold on, everybody. I've got to pull this up. My God, will you stop? Sorry, everybody. It's just, I'm starting to get agitated. Oh. Hey, Zay Flowers got his first touchdown. Yep, that just happened. Zay Flowers got his first touchdown. That's awesome. We got some live updates that are going on here. I just don't like to do the videos for the games too soon beforehand because certain stuff can come up, variables, injuries. It's a very big fluctuation. And I gotta get off of this. I gotta go to the stats for the teams. Because I forgot to put the rankings for the Lions defense, apparently. Alright, the Lions have 292.8 total yards per game allowed. That is 7th in the league. 224 passing yards a game allowed. That's about middle of the road. I can't. 0.864208. That's 17th in the league. They've got for passing yards per game. And I'm pretty sure rushing, they're actually first or close to it. Oh, they're third. They've got 68.4 yards per game allowed rushing. Yeah, that's third in the league. Right above my Browns. A good deal. So yeah, that's they got 8 receiving touchdowns that they've allowed, 3 rushing touchdowns, 66 points. And over there, turnover differential is even. I just didn't do this one. No, they've got, never mind. Scratch that. That's +1. They've got 3 interceptions and 3 fumbles that they've given up on offense, and then defense has 5 interceptions and 2 fumbles. So that's a +1 turnover differential. Great turnover differential. Perfect for extra points. Perfect for field goals. These guys must be doing a lot because they're 7 for 7 on extra points. So they must be doing a lot of 2-point conversions this year. They have 18 touchdowns scored and only 7 extra points. Hold up. Because that's what it says over there. I think that I might have mixed it up again. For the love of God. We're just going to run with it. And again, take much extra time. But yeah, if you want to look that up and everything, I think that I'm almost positive that I'm wrong on that. I thought that I went through this and I missed a couple of stuff on the proofread time through. Oh, we'll get there eventually. Learn from your mistakes, right? And both teams in this matchup, the Lions and the Buccaneers, they've got a pick 6 on. There's a pick 6 for each defense on the year. And then let's go over, get the Buccaneers numbers done. We got 301.5 total yards per game for offense. That's 22nd in the league. Baker Mayfield slinging that rock. 214.5 passing yards per game. That's 14th in the league. Better than I think that he's ever done with Cleveland. Rushing yards per game. We got 87 rushing yards per game. That's 25th in the league. So the Buccaneers haven't been running the ball great. I've watched games and I could have told you that without looking at the numbers, honestly. They got 7 receiving touchdowns, only 1 rushing touchdown, 48 points scored altogether, and their offense gave up 2 interceptions and 1 fumble. Unfortunate, a good thing that on the other side of the coin, on their defense side, they've only allowed 318.5 total yards per game. That's 11th in the league. They've allowed only 223.8 passing yards per game. That's 16th in the league, and 94.8 rushing yards per game. That is 10th in the league. They have 4 receiving touchdowns that they've allowed and only 2 rushing touchdowns that have been allowed. They've only allowed 36 points, and again, like I said, these guys got a pick 6 as well. Total, though, for turnovers, they've got 6 interceptions and 4 fumbles on the defense. That's a +7 turnover ratio that the Buccaneers have right now. Love to see it. Meanwhile, over there, we just got +1 with the Detroit Lions. But this should make out to be actually a pretty decent game that I think. That rushing defense of the Lions is violent, but they don't rush the ball. And the passing yards per game line up almost exactly where the passing yards per game is averaged out on their side of the ball. The matchup predictor has got this tight as well. There's a 55% chance, damn near 50-50 chance that the Lions win this one. The line has Lions favored by 3 points, and the over-under is 42.5. There's just barely over 100 points scored between these two defenses. So, and I mean, this is in Tampa Bay. I kind of want to think that no, I'm gonna go with the Lions on this one. I'm gonna agree with the Lions winning. Let's get into the stat leaders for this matchup. Passing, we got for Detroit, we got Jared Goff. Rushing for Detroit, we got David Montgomery that just came over from the Chicago Bears this last offseason. And receiving, Detroit's got Amon-Ra St. Brown. Glad to see him back. Tampa Bay, we got Baker Mayfield for passing. Rushing, Tampa Bay's got Rachaad White. Receiving, Tampa Bay's got Mike Evans. He's out there doing it again. But, all right, the numbers for our quarterbacks. Jared Goff has 111 completions on 159 attempts, 1,265 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Baker Mayfield, on the other side, has 87 completions on 125 attempts, 882 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. So those are some good stats for the quarterbacks. The yards could be up on Baker Mayfield, but for the fact that he's only got 125 attempts and 87 completions, 882 yards, that's 10 yards a completion. I like those averages. Moving on. Over here with running backs, we got David Montgomery, who has 88 carries for 371 yards with 6 touchdowns on the year. And Tampa Bay has Rachaad White, who has 63 carries, 206 yards, and 1 touchdown. Bye, girl. And for the receivers, Amon-Ra St. Brown has 26 catches on the year, 331 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Mike Evans, he's got 20 catches for 337 yards and 3 touchdowns. Love to see it. Next up, we got the schedule, where the Lions, the only game that they lost was that unfortunate loss to the Seahawks. That was just a little iffy, and I really don't have an explanation for it. It was a 6-point loss, and if I remember correctly, it was like last minute too. But I'm on the Lions side on this one. Buccaneers, they just had their. They were one of the first group of bye weeks, so they only got 4 games. The only game they lost against was the Eagles, and that was I went out and I watched that game with a couple of friends. The Eagles had stuff going that game. It's taken some time for them to get things lined up like they should be, but the Eagles are starting to get it done, it looks like, so that's good to see. Moving on back over to the Lions for the injury report. We've got Zonovan Knight, Emmanuel Mosley, and C.J. Gardner-Johnson that are on the IR. James Mitchell is officially out, the tight end, and Khalil Dorsey is questionable to play. Over on the Tampa Bay side, Shaq Barrett, he's questionable to play. And Anthony Nelson, he is doubtful to play. It don't look like it's not looking very good for him. And I just checked these, got these all put together. I put these all together basically at the end of last night. So at the closing of all of the reports. And then when I came back in and double checked on these for any mistakes, I made sure that I updated the injury list and made notes on certain players that will be definitely out and those that are going to be active in the game. So they've got Detroit favored by 3. Kind of like that, but I feel like it might be a little bit more. 42.5. Actually, no. Yeah, I'm going to go under on this. With the Lions getting 21 points. I'll give the Buccos 13 points. So yeah, Lions beat the Buccaneers 21-13. That's it. 21-13. 21-21. 21-13. Lions beat the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay. And let's move on. Next one, we got the Patriots and the Raiders. These afternoon games, man, they're just not the hottest games that you could be watching, but hopefully a couple of these are close. You got the Patriots that are last in the AFC East. Raiders are third in the AFC West. Patriots are 1-4, ranked 29th on the power ranking list. Raiders are 2-3, ranked 24th on the power ranking list. And Max Crosby is doing a lot, but thank God that there's other people that are starting to contribute on the Raiders defense. But going back, we're going to start off with the Patriots, and I don't see this team necessarily coming back from this. If we want to be honest, Bill Belichick's getting old, man. So, I don't know. Leave your thoughts in the comments for that, but Mac Jones isn't panning out. Draft capital, at least, is going to be high if they keep on losing. But, moving in, we got the offensive numbers. They got 287.4 total yards per game. That's 26th in the league. 203.6 passing yards per game. That's 19th in the league. 83.8 rushing yards per game. That's 26th in the league. And there's another mistake that I made. Didn't even put yards per game in there. 5 receiving touchdowns and 5 rushing touchdowns for 60 points scored. The turnover differential is atrocious. It's at -7 because the offense has given up 6 interceptions and 4 fumbles, while the defense for the Patriots only has 1 interception and 1 fumble. No defensive touchdowns at all. But on the other side, something that the Patriots can actually look good at is that 298.4 yards allowed per game total. They're 8th in the league. 190.4 passing yards per game allowed. That is 6th in the league. Rushing, 108 rushing yards per game allowed. They're 16th in the league. But they're sitting at 5 receiving and 5 rushing touchdowns. That's the exact amount of touchdowns that they've scored on offense. So they're even there. Little bit of sunshine in the middle of the rain aspect here, but 4 out of 8 field goals. There's just so much that you look at and so many things that are not good and not appearing to shape up very well for good old Bill Belichick. This is the Raiders that we're talking about, so moving over to that side, their numbers, they got 281.2 total yards per game. That's 29th in the league. 209.8 passing yards per game. That's 17th in the league. And 71.4 rushing yards per game. That's last in the league. So it's just like the New England offense, except worse. And that's not a joke. I mean, their passing yards per game is a little bit. Yeah, they got a little bit more passing yards per game. But that's it. And where Patriots have good defense, you look at the defense. The defense has only gotten 4 interceptions this year. Offensive side of the ball, they've given up 8 interceptions and 3 fumbles. That's a -8 turnover differential. That's definitely a big sign of a problem for your offense if they're turning over the ball that much. And not only that, but you go over to the defense and you got 5 games in and you haven't even forced a fumble yet. Ball security must be maxed out on the teams that they're playing. And I just looked at the teams that they've played. It's not anything spectacular. But here we go for the defense for the Raiders. We got 326.6 total yards per game allowed. That's 14th in the league. Allowed 197.2 passing yards per game. That's 11th in the league. And allowed 129.4 rushing yards per game this year on average. And that's 23rd in the league. They got 8 receiving touchdowns and 5 rushing touchdowns. So 78 points allowed on the year for them. More that I look into this, actually, I'm kind of feeling like this is going to be a win for Belichick. The Raiders have a little bit worse offense. Their defense does not stack up the same as the Patriots' defense. Yeah, there's a lot of tangibles. It's got the Raiders favorited and has them winning a tight one, 55%, or 56% to round it up to be a little bit more accurate. The over under 41.5. And I think that I'm still going to go with the under. The Raiders are favorited by 3 points. Jimmy G is just struggling, so I don't know about that good passing defense. The offense, though. And I'm gonna take that back. I don't think that I agree with them. I don't like the favored. I'm probably actually gonna go with the Patriots on this one. I think that the Patriots are gonna get a squeeze out of this one. We'll probably see like a 24-21 type of game. And yeah, I'll go ahead and take the over on that. Lock that in. Patriots 24, Raiders 21. Portnoy's not gonna like that if he ever fucking hears that, but because they want a low draft pick. But I doubt that he's ever gonna hear anything that's on my videos on my YouTube page. That's comforting. All right, yeah, locked it in. 24 Patriots, 21 Raiders. Patriots get to go home with a win. Definitely feeling it into my bones. All right. And now we have the one that's a little bit more of a clear and evident what is going to go on in this game. We got the number 2 ranked Philadelphia Eagles coming into New York to face the number 19 ranked New York Jets, who don't have their franchise quarterback, or not even franchise quarterback. They don't have their quarterback that they went out and traded for, their superstar, their MVP. I'm not going to lie, at first saw it, I did not see the tendon roll up. I didn't, but the next morning afterwards and everything, that Aaron Rodgers injury was just nasty. I was trying to think of the best word to come up with it. Scary, nasty. But Jets, they actually took the leash off of Breece Hall, and he went and had a career game. That's and look, that's good to see. And I saw a few of those highlights. He put the wheels on. He made sure that people knew what was going on that day. And that what was going on that day, that it's Breece Hall went hard in the paint. All right. Just got a couple more left. This is our last afternoon game, and then we're gonna close it out with the Sunday night football game. And then tomorrow I'll make sure to get a video made up tonight and post it in the morning for you guys with my prediction for the Monday night football game. You can go ahead and get all of these out of the way and go ahead and enjoy a full day of football. All right, the Philadelphia Eagles, we got them over here. We got 404.4 total yards per game, second in the league. 240.4 passing yards per game, that's 10th in the league. 164 rushing yards per game, that's number 2 in the league. 6 receiving touchdowns and 6 rushing touchdowns. All right, the upload's complete for the noon game, so everybody should be able to get those. Oh, now it's doing the processing of it. Okay, it's uploaded, now it's processing it. All right, going into it. 6 receiving and 6 rushing touchdowns for 72 points scored on the Eagles side. And I'm going to keep on saying it. They even say it themselves. This is an imperfect team. They've got some things, a lot of things to work on, actually. They got a lot of things to work on, and they're working on them. They're going to push through it. It's not their first time facing adversity, so love to hear it, and can't wait to see these guys actually play a game with their shit together if they don't have it together and they're still 5-0. Over on the offensive side, we got 4 picks that have been thrown by the Eagles offense and only 1 fumble that's been given up. Defense, the defense has gotten 2 interceptions and picked up 6 fumbles. So the Eagles got a turnover differential of +3. That's a really good turnover differential. But then we get over here and we look at the defense's yards. And we got 308.8 total yards per game allowed. That is 10th in the league. And a whopping 247.6 passing yards per game allowed. That is 25th in the league. But you look at their run defense, they stacked that box up. They got a lot of big boys up there on the line. 61.2 rushing yards per game allowed. The Philadelphia Eagles are the best in the NFL at run defense. 11 receiving touchdowns allowed. That's really bad. Number 2 rushing touchdowns allowed. That is tied for 6th in the league. They've allowed 78 points, so a little bit more points allowed, but that defense has 1 safety and 1 pick six. And Jake Elliott is 11 for 2 on extra points and also 16 out of 17 field goal attempts. That man has 59 points on his foot alone. That is extremely immaculate. And let's go over and get this done with the New York Jets. They've got 283.6 total yards per game. That is 25th in the league. 283.6 passing yards per game. That's dead last in the league. 143.8 rushing yards per game, and that probably helped. Breece Hall probably helped that a lot. But that's 11th in the league. They've only got 4 receiving touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns, so they've only got 36 points scored. The offense gave up 5 interceptions and 3 fumbles. The defense actually pulled it out and got the turnover differential to be positive at this point for now, because they got 5 interceptions and 4 fumbles on defense. Yard-wise, we got 352.6 total yards per game allowed. That is 22nd in the league. 206.4 passing yards per game allowed. That's 14th in the league. 146.2 rushing yards per game allowed. That is 29th in the league. They aren't doing very good at rushing defense over there in New York with the Jets. 48 points allowed, because 7 receiving touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown allowed. So they've kept them out of the end zone, but they've just given up a bunch of rushing yards. They get down to the end of the field and just decide, okay, we're not going to let you in. That's what it seems like, but yeah, Eagles have the 1 safety and the 1 pick six, and then over on the Jets actually have 2 safeties and 1 fumble recovery that they've taken back for a touchdown. Now, looking at the stats, we got the passing, rushing, and receiving ones for Philly. We got Jalen Hurts, DeAndre Swift, and A.J. Brown. For the Jets, we got Zach Wilson, Breece Hall, and Garrett Wilson. Let's dive in for the numbers of the quarterbacks. Jalen's got 113 completions on 168 attempts, 1,262 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. Zach Wilson, he's 91 completions on 149 attempts, only 911 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. That touchdown to interception ratio isn't doing too good for Zach Wilson this year. For the running backs, DeAndre Swift has 76 carries for 434 yards and 2 touchdowns. Breece Hall has 54 carries, 387 yards, and 1 touchdown. Receiving wise, A.J. Brown, 35 catches for 541 yards and 2 touchdowns. Garrett's got 24 catches for 279 yards and 2 touchdowns. ESPN has the Eagles 65% win probability. And then, again, the Eagles, they're undefeated. They played the Patriots, Vikings, Bucks, Commanders, and Rams. So, bottom to mid-tier teams there. On the other side, the Jets, they actually beat the Bills week 1, but then lost to the Cowboys, lost to the Patriots, lost to the Chiefs. Came up with a win last week against the Broncos, but that is the Broncos. The Broncos, they're just a sad team in general this year. Let's get these injuries out of the way, and we'll get the prediction done for this last afternoon game. Move on to the Monday or Sunday night football game. Justin Evans and Quez Watkins are still on the IR, and Jalen Carter and Darius Slay will be out for this game. So a little bit of a different look there in the box, but they still got big people up there. I don't think that would really... I mean, it's going to have an effect, but not a crazy significant of an effect. But over here on the Jets side, we got Justin Hardy that is on IR. Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed are both out tonight. Nick Bowden and Xavier Gibson, they're questionable for this afternoon. So keep an eye on that, and we will see. I'm going to go ahead and agree. We got 42.5 for the over-under, and the Eagles favored by 6.5. And I'm gonna agree with that one, but I'm also gonna say that they kind of open it up a little bit more. I know that Jalen Carter isn't gonna be there, so the defense is gonna have to deal with that. But we've got on the other side, we've got the Jets that are ranked 29th in the league for rushing defense, and the Eagles are number 2 in the league for rushing offense. So as soon as the Eagles get up, they're just sledding at that point. And honestly, with that, I'm going to take the over on this one because I feel like the Jets are still going to have a little bit of fight in them. There's been a lot of receiving touchdowns that the Eagles have allowed. We'll see how it goes, though, but with my gut instinct, we're going to go ahead, go with, like, we'll go with, like, 34-21. Philadelphia Eagles 34, New York Jets 21. Lock it in. Eagles win 34-21. And moving forward, we got our last game of this video and the last game that is going to be on tonight. We're going to have the primetime game that we have the New York Giants that are ranked 31st in the league going and taking on the number 6 ranked Buffalo Bills. This is just going to turn into a fucking bloodbath, I feel like. Daniel Jones isn't playing. Giants are last. Saquon Barkley isn't doing much, if anything. Is Barkley even there, actually? Can we get a... Can we get a check on that? Just a lot of injuries on the offense on the Giants side, and their numbers are not good either on offense or defense. They got 255.2 total yards per game. That is last in the league. 163 passing yards per game. That's 31st in the league, second to last. 92.2 rushing yards per game. They're 23rd, so got a little bit out of that. But they've only got 2 receiving touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns. They're dead last for receiving touchdowns that they've scored. They've only scored 30 points too. It's unfortunate that the NFC East was just so strong last year, and Giants were contenders, and now they're riddled with injuries, other problems. But their offense, they've given up 6 interceptions and 2 fumbles. And over on the defensive side, they've only gotten 2 interceptions and 1 fumble. So their turnover differential is at -5. Their defense numbers, 378 total yards per game allowed, 27th in the league. 226.6 passing yards per game allowed. It's 19th in the league. 151.4 rushing yards per game allowed. That is 30th in the league. And they have allowed 90 points, 6 receiving touchdowns, and 9 rushing touchdowns. That is not a good look. They've missed 3 field goals. The defense actually has a pick 6. That's cool, but everything in these numbers is just describing not only why they're bad and just to fucking put them in the dirt. Now they're just getting injuries left and right. Now, over on the side, clear as day that we're going to take the Bills in this one tonight. Primetime game. Josh Allen's going to have a game, I feel like. But the Bills on this year, they got 390.4 total yards per game. That is 4th in the league. And passing, they got 274.2 passing yards per game. That is 4th in the league. Rushing is drops a little bit. They got 116.2 rushing yards per game. Only 16th in the league. And then they've got 18 touchdowns altogether. They've got 108 points scored, 18 touchdowns, 11 of them receiving, 7 of them that are rushing. And they may have given up some, but the turnover differential ends up positive. They allowed they've given up 5 interceptions and 2 fumbles on offense, but over on defense, they have taken a ball away 13 times altogether, 8 interceptions, 5 fumbles, and their defense isn't slouching that at all this year. The rushing game could use a little work, but they're getting it done in Buffalo. 325.2 total yards per game allowed. That is 12th in the league. 191.2 passing yards per game allowed. That is 8th in the league. Then 134 rushing yards per game allowed. There's that slouch. That is 25th in the league. But they've only allowed 8 touchdowns, 4 receiving and 4 rushing for 48 points allowed. That is great when you look at that ratio of points scored to points allowed. Their kicker, 18 to 18 extra points, 9 for 9 field goals. The Bills defense also has a pick 6. ESPN has this at 95% for the Bills. And also the line, the over-under is 44 with the Bills favored by 15. Holy shit. Let's get these stats done for you. Get the schedule, injuries, and we'll get the prediction done so we can get out of here. You guys can get going and watch some football. Or if you're watching football and my video at the same time, I gotta love that. I appreciate it. Passing yards. We got Daniel Jones for the Giants. Rushing yards, Daniel Jones. Receiving, Darren Waller. Daniel's got 100, or on the Buffalo side, before we get into the numbers, Buffalo side, we got Josh Allen, James Cook, and Stephon Diggs. For the quarterbacks, Daniel Jones, 104 completions, 151 passing attempts, 884 yards, 2 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Not good. Josh Allen has got 128 completions on 175 attempts, 1,407 yards, 11 touchdowns, but he still has 5 interceptions on the year. It sucks to see that. I really want to see Josh Allen have a year where he can solve his interception problem, his indecisiveness, and the red zone awareness. I would just like to see that. I would like to see that in my life. Rushing yards, we got Daniel Jones, that's the leader, 38 carries for 197 yards and 1 touchdown. James Cook's running back for Buffalo with 61 carries, 292 yards and 1 touchdown. And receiving, we got Darren Waller that has 23 receptions, 239 yards. Stephon Diggs, he's got 39 catches, 520 yards, and 5 touchdowns. So yeah, half of the touchdowns Josh Allen scored has been from Stephon Diggs this year. Good to see it. I hate it that I fucking passed up on him in my fantasy draft. But you win some, you lose some. Moving on to the schedule, here on the Giants side, we got the Cowboys, 49ers, Seahawks, and Dolphins that they've lost to. They got a 3-point win over the Cardinals, and I feel like that was just pure luck, or else these guys would be 0-4 sitting in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes as well. On the Bills side, they had a terrifying upset week 1 versus the Jets. They beat the Raiders, they beat the Commanders, they beat the Dolphins. But then over in London, Jaguars ended up taking advantage of being over there for a second week, I think, and ended up sealing the deal. Got out of there and 2-0 in London for this year for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Congratulations. Got to give it to you for that. Now, let's get to the injuries. The Giants, we got Azeez Ojulari that is on IR, and then John Michael Schmitz Jr., he is out. Evan Neal is questionable. Darren Waller is questionable. Saquon Barkley is also questionable. So we will see if they end up playing. That's going to be another thing to watch out for. Is those three, like Evan Neal's a key piece of the offensive line. Obviously, Darren Waller and Saquon Barkley got to be out there. They add a whole entire different element to the game when they're on the field. But over on the Bills side, for their injuries, we got Matt Milano and Daquan Jones on IR. Dalton Kincaid, Dane Jackson, and Dawson Knox are questionable. And Josh Allen might be down a couple of tight ends. So that's unfortunate. How the game goes. That's that. And the last thing that we got to do is just come up with a prediction here. And definitely taking the Bills, but I don't think that it gets over 44 points here. Yeah, I don't think it gets over 44 by any means. We're talking about maybe like 24-13. I'll go with that. Bills get 24, Giants get 13. And that's generous, giving them 13 points. Yeah. Von Miller will be returning today. Greg Rousseau back for the Bills. Yeah. Lock it in. 24-13. That's the Sunday Night Football prediction. And that will wrap up our video for the afternoon games and the Sunday Night Football game. Again, if you made it through the whole entire video, thank you. I appreciate you. You don't understand how much that means to me. But I hope everybody has a good Sunday. Hopefully everybody's teams win. But if everybody's team won, who would lose? Unfortunately, that will be it for me today. Again, like I said, tonight after the Sunday night football game gets done, I'll start working on the video for the Monday night football game and get it put up. The noon games video just actually got done processing. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here so I can start editing up this video and get it submitted or get it uploaded and processed so it's in by the time the noon games start. Thank you guys. Again, love and appreciate every single one of you that show their support. Even if you don't, if you're just coming in to hang out, that's fine with me. But I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button if you're hanging out and you're watching the video. Be kind and respectful to others, and most of all, be kind and respectful to yourself. You're the number one person on this world. Nobody matters more than you do. That's it for me. Thank you guys. I'll get that video put up for you. Make sure that you go and check out the other videos on the page. Love ya. See you next time.